Hey tea heads, this is Don from Mayleaf. In this video, why does my tea taste fishy? So many times I hear people say, I don't like to drink tea, especially ripe pu'er tea, because it has this funky, fishy aroma. So I thought what I would do is explain that today and take one for the team and drink some uber fishy tea. So what causes this fishiness in tea? And I have to say, it is mostly related to ripe or cooked pu'er tea. If you're not sure what ripe pu'er tea is, I'll put a link in the description below to check out another video explaining all about ripe pu'er tea. It can happen in other teas, but essentially ripe pu'er is always the focal point for this discussion. And these suckers here, these cheap TEAWARE teas, TEAWARE meaning this shape, so these small pellet ripe teas are always top of the list when it comes to teas which have the most likelihood for having this fishy aroma. In China, they call this aroma the dried squid aroma, which is no more appetizing. Or you may hear of the term Wo Dui, which is the aromatic smell, this particular smell which comes from the wet piling ripening process of pu'er tea. What causes this aroma? This aroma is caused primarily by bacterial breakdown of the plant matter. And I think that the biggest suspect in creating this aroma is trimethylamine. Now, apologies if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but that is an aromatic which has this funky, fishy aroma. So when you are ripening pu'er tea, you are obviously wet piling it, which means you're piling it up with in a hot environment, in a humid environment, you're pouring water over it, you're trying to maximize this bacterial and fungal fermentation of the tea. Now, if this process is not done very carefully, then you can create more bacteria, so a higher proportion of bacteria, which will create this trimethylamine. But I have to say that with all ripening processes, this trimethylamine is created. So when you get freshly ripened pu'er tea, it will always have this smell in different varying degrees, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on the skill of the fermenters. However, that is why it is very important that the producers do not bring that tea to market until the tea has had a chance to dissipate this aroma. So what they'll usually do is they'll pile the tea into breathable bags and they will store the tea in a very good, clean, well-ventilated warehouse for a minimum of a year, usually 2 years, to release all of this Wo Dui smell, and then, and only then, it's ready for market. So what I have here is some freshly made ripened tea. So this, I just asked my suppliers in China, just send me a small amount of your freshly ripened tea because they're ripening right now. So this is fresh off the pile. So I expect a full fishy hit from this. Here we have some cheap Yunnan TEAWARE tea. You'll see this all over the market. And as I said, it is usually the candidate that most people react to when they're first purchasing pu'er tea. They first purchase these TEAWARE tea bricks. And if they are pressed too early, in other words, the tea has not had enough time for that smell to dissipate, or the processing, the fermentation has not been done really well and you've developed far too many of these bacteria which contribute to this trimethylamine, then you are going to get some locked in fishy aroma. And here, as a treat, I have some black Yunnan TEAWARE 96. This is 23-year-old aged ripe pu'er. It's a TEAWARE tea, but I want to show you what a great TEAWARE tea can taste like with zero fishy aroma. So this is new in on the Mayleaf collection. We've just replaced our black Yunnan TEAWARE 98 with this black Yunnan TEAWARE 96. So even older, right? Let's get stuck in. I'm gonna pick this ripe pu'er tea here. You can take a little look at it. See if I can get a focus on here. standard look, nothing particularly exciting. That's what you'll expect to see. And I have to say that you're not going to be able to see from looks whether or not the tea has this fishy aroma. I'm now going to take some of my Black Yunnan Tor 96, open this one up, similar color, not much difference you can see there. And I'm going to throw in 5 grams of this from Bulang. So this is a high quality Ripe PuErh. This is going to be stored for 2 years in a factory to release that Wo Dui smell. And so it's going to make a really excellent Ripe PuErh. Nothing wrong with it, but I fully expect it to have that freshly cooked aroma. Torties need to be rinsed for a little bit longer because they are pellets. So I'm just gonna pour that off and then leave the lid on to allow the pellets to just sort of steam open before I sniff them. And then we're gonna rinse this Bulang Ripe PuErh. Already getting a cornucopia of aromas hitting my nose. So you have the classic sort of aromatics of Ripe PuErh tea that most people speak about is a sort of earthiness or a crypt-like quality. Now, I think once you get some good Ripe PuErh, then you start to really get the aromatics beyond that. You should start to get aromatics that are more like antique woods, fudges, vanilla. A lot of that ripening process develops vanillin. It develops the vanilla notes of the tea. So you want to pick up more of those sweet, herbal aromatics. All right, here we go. Let's have a sniff of this Black Yunnan Tor. I have to say this was just one of the cheap Black Yunnan Tors that has been sent to me. Yep. Definitely fishy. I mean, it's got other aromatics. It's got like a sweet cranberry note. It's got some antique wood, some nice notes going on, but definitely there, that dried squid aroma. Try to expel that from my nose. Okay, here we go. Looking forward to this. Ready? So, freshly ripened. Whew. Well, you know what? It's there, for sure it's there. It's a little bit more than in this one here. So, considering this is freshly off the pile, it's not too bad, but definitely something that I would stay away from. It's got some vanilla notes. It's got some little nutty chestnut notes, but definitely this dried squid aroma, fishy aroma. I mean, the best way to describe it is if you have ever visited a place where they dry fish, you can kind of just get this waft in the air, this sort of fishy, not like wet fishy, not like sort of slimy fishy, but just a dried fish aroma. Right, we're going to increase the temperature of the water here. I want nice boiling hot water. You can see the different teas here, and you can see how much more this one has opened up compared to this one here. So that one's going to be a harder one to brew. So I'm going to hit that one first. Boiling hot water. And we're going to leave that for at least 30 seconds to really maximize the flavor hit there. And then I'm going to hit this one here, which is already breaking up. And finally, we go for that fresh Bulang. Here you go. Interesting to see the difference in the colors of the liquor here. Got my Gong Dao Bays. I'm actually going to start with this one and leave the middle one to brew a bit longer because I know it's going to take some time. Then we go with the Bulang, similar color, lovely chestnut auburn brown, and finally, come on little one, let's go. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a low quality tea if it's not opening quickly, but it does mean that it's been compressed very, very hard pellets. The question is, how soon after the cooking or ripening process was the tea pressed? That's a very important bit of information, really, because that will suggest whether or not the tea has that fishy aroma, because you can't really assess it by the look of the leaves or the smell of the dry tea, unless it's really, really bad. Okay, here we go. Let's see the different colors here. Clearly this one is lighter because it needed some more time to open up. That pellet is still pretty hard in there, but let's taste anyway. Okay, here we go. Put these aside. 3 cups. Which one should I taste first? I'm going to taste the lightest one. This is a cheap Yunnan tortie. Now, all torties tend to be cheaper than cakes, tend to be cheaper than loose ripes. So, you know, that's why a lot of people first discover Pu Erh through these cheap teas, and that's why they have a bad experience, and that's why we hear oftentimes people go, oh, I can't drink that Pu Erh, and they haven't really tried the best stuff out there. Yeah, there it is. Definitely this sulfurous, fishy, not pleasant at all taste, and it's very hard to get past that. Now, what a lot of people will suggest that you do if you pick up this aroma is throw away the first infusion, rinse the tea a couple of times, and that will dissipate some of this fishy aroma. And that is true. You can usually tell when a tea was decently ripened, but was pressed too early, was brought to the market too early, because you can wash away that Wo Dui aroma. If, however, the tea has been badly fermented, in other words, too many of the cultures of the bacteria which create this trimethylamine are in the fermentation process, then it's very hard to get rid of those aromatics. Okay, not nice. If that was my first experience of raw Pu Erh, ripe Pu Erh, I would not be returning to it. The smell coming off this, funky, funky. Woo! Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely there. Stronger than the tortie. And I can tell from the texture in my mouth, from the sensation, from the sweetness that's developing already, that this is a high quality tea, but it just needs to be left for a couple of years to breathe. Oh yeah, no, definitely not something that you should be drinking. Now, what is it about this ripening process that creates these bacteria? Well, there are bacteria that are on the fresh leaf already. In fact, plenty of bacteria on the fresh leaf. But through the fermentation, through this heated environment, through this wet piling, you're going to create even more. In fact, the studies that I've seen show that ripe Pu Erh has about over 500 different bacteria in the tea. This is just bacteria, not fungi, but bacteria. And the raw Pu Erh shares around 90. So you can see that there are about 90 that are common between raw and ripe, but there's an extra over 450 different bacteria that are created through this ripening process. Right, finally I get to taste this beautiful coffee liquor looking tea. And it's just a world of difference. Remember that this is 23 years old. It's smooth, it's silky, it's creamy. What a tea. It has those vanilla notes. Antique woods, vanillas, a little bit of Chinese herbal note like angelica root. Some jujube, very, very slight sweetness there of jujube. I'm getting the sort of spices that you get in incense, sandalwoods, things like that. Really, really complex and delicious. Very smooth, very, very silky. Absolutely zero funky fish aroma. Creamy as well. The smell of these leaves, this one here, it's like charred woods. So bourbon casks, that sort of charred vanilla rum note going on. A little bit of toffee notes happening, a bit buttery and toffee-like as well. And the finish in my mouth is mineral and sweet. And this is, or should be, your first experience of Ripe PuErh tea. So I advise everybody, please try to make sure that you pick up, if you're going to try some of this Tor tea, this Ripe PuErh Tor tea, then try to pick up a good quality one. Ask the right questions, preferably one that's been aged for at least a few years. All right, 23 years is a bit extreme, but you know, at least a few years. So find out when it was picked, find out when it was cooked, and that will give you a lot of information. Lovely dark liquor. Look at that. And this will go for infusion. And infusion, it'll go for so many different infusions. You can definitely drink this the whole day. See, what I love about good Ripe PuErh is you're getting a great balance between minerality and creaminess, between this sort of cleansing, bracing, refreshing quality and this silky, vanilla, creamy quality. Now let's smell the empty cup and see what we're getting here. So what you're getting here is very classic dried loquat, dried Chinese herbs and loquat fruit. It's a very specific smell. Dried loquat, even a bit syrupy. There's a sort of sugared, dried fruit note, but it has this sort of charred note to it, a little bit of a toasted note to it as well. So there you go. Watch out for the fishy teas. You now know what's causing it. As I said, it could be to do with the fact that it's been brought to market too early. So always look for dates. And if that fishy aroma doesn't dissipate after a couple of rinses, then I would throw that tea away because it means it was badly fermented. Let us know your experiences. Let us know if you've had this fishy aroma and which teas you've experienced it with. That's it, tea heads. Check out our other videos, taste our teas wherever you are in the world by browsing mayleaf.com or come and visit our tea house if you're ever in London. Other than that, I'm Don from Mayleaf. Thank you for being a part of the revelation of true tea. Stay away from those tea bags. Keep drinking the good stuff and spread the word because nobody deserves bad tea. Bye.